That would be great. Thank you.
Very spring-like.
But I feel springy. I've got a spring in my step, except in my feet. Whoa, these heels are sore. What was I thinking?
How are
I
you
heard
today?
that Shailene Woodley wore finger toe shoes on the red carpet one time. I was like, yeah, it's. I wish. I so want to.
I'm sure you've been asked already, but what was it like being pretty much you in the latest episode?
Oh my goodness, my head
It was
felt
weird for us to
fantastic.
see it.
Yeah, it was great to not wear a wig. I have a really sensitive scalp, which is just so silly and annoying playing this character. So not wearing the wig was just fantastic, and it's cool. Like when Liv gets to explore these other avenues. I think people are so contradictory anyway, and I think it really emphasizes how many in Liv's character. It emphasizes how many different sort of versions we all have of ourselves and sort of threads we have within ourselves to tap into. Hers is just done in such an overt way. So I had a lot of fun. Doing it.
So what's it like to play a character that has a different personality?
I feel like I have that in my own life. Like one week I'm like this zen sort of like I'm just gonna take each day as it comes, and then the next week I'm completely like ambitious and manic and got to do this, and then the next week I'm just feeling like a shell. I think we are like that, and as I say, Liv, it just sort of manifests so clearly, and we are contradictions. I love that. I mean, it's fun to play the variety, obviously, and as an actor to have this kind of heightened sense of variety is a lot of fun and keeps it very interesting and imaginative. But I would like to think that it's not cartoony. We are all capable of buying into very different things and showing different characteristics.
What's the coolest thing that you had to learn to play one of those different brains? I really enjoyed
learning the magic. Learning the magic was wonderful because you never get to see behind the curtain. They're so specific. And when we're paying this guy to come and teach me, it's like you have to give me how that card trick works now. Like this is non-negotiable. I had a lot of fun with that, and it's kind of strange though because I always used to like going to the Magic Castle, and now you go with different eyes after you've learned a few tricks, even just like really basic things. You go and you're like skeptical, and is that a fake thumb, and is that it's new, so it's a win-lose.
We just had Allie talking about how we get to have roommates scenes again coming up. So could you talk about what that's like and how it's been not being roommates?
We feel like the friends from Friends. We often liken ourselves to that, where their storylines have intersected so wonderfully so many times, and we always have a lot of fun on set creating that because we have a really good dynamic between, especially the four of us, Ravi, Peyton, Buckley, Major, and Liv. It's so funny. I always interchange people's names and character names, and I should know better. But we have some really good flatmate kind of vibe stuff coming up, and Liv next episode eats the brain of a stripper because Peyton really asks her to. So she's being a good friend. Some of those moves that Liv has to pull off, she would only do that for a good friend.
Which brain was the most fun to play for you?
I think the erotic librarian was really funny because it was so, just on set, it was such a good vibe. It got everybody laughing. It's one of those, it feels like you're 13 at like some party again and everybody's like making naughty jokes, and we were all a bit like that. Me slapping Raul's ass 4,000 times, just like really working to cause pain, just to get different reactions out of him. It was a lot of fun. That was probably the best.
Where do you want the character to go? What would you love to see that happen with her? Either her direction in her life or the next brain?
Well, something quite cool happens in a brain fairly soon where she eats a type A personality, which is what she used to be before she became a zombie. And it's something that I've sort of thought and been saying about Liv for a while, is everybody glorifies this person that she was, and she had the perfect relationship, and she was awfully boring. Like, she just didn't have life yet. She didn't know real struggle and real adversity, and hadn't come up against anything, and so her character wasn't necessarily very built. So I actually think it's quite cool in the episode where she eats the brain of that type A personality to recognise some of those limitations and sort of appreciate what some of the past journey that she's been on being a zombie has done for her. And we get to, and where that goes next will be interesting too. Now that she has a little bit more hindsight about it.
Well, we know that the brains are very impactful as soon as she has them, and then obviously there's the next brain down, and so it becomes almost procedural as well. But how about the retention of that knowledge and that information? I mean, it's been mentioned that it kind of goes, but you would think after going through some of it and physically working through some of it, that Liv would retain a bit of that. So doesn't that develop her as a character in general?
Absolutely. I would like to think of it as like it opens new channels in her that she had anyway, and as I say, it's like as an actor you start to realize you are capable of being so many different people, and it's sort of they're all within you, and it's access. So I think that Liv eating these brains is able to open up these parts of herself that may or may not end up being explored again later in her life. You know, maybe because she's explored a relationship with art and visually painting and having some response to that. That's something that comes up for her again, but it doesn't impact her like a drug consistently the way it does when she first consumes it. But I guess maybe it's like some weird acid trip or something where she's like then able to like access a whole different part of herself that she didn't know existed, but the high itself has subsided. That's going to be my go-to.
On the last episode, Liv figured out that Blake? I'm missing
Drake,
thank you.
Drizzy.
was working for a boss, and I think she was on the verge of breaking up with him, but then of course he gets drugged by Major. So in that conflict, does Liv have like an idea of which one of them? I guess it's like she's caught between two guys that she's with.
If I had $1 for every time I've had an ex-boyfriend drug and deep freeze one of my boyfriends, I would be a wealthy woman. I honestly, it's the worst case scenario. It's terrible. I mean, she's finally kind of opening her mind to being with somebody else and puts herself out there and meets this great guy who is a great guy, and now is finding out like these very dark elements, and she can't make sense of them yet. She doesn't know the ins and outs of why he's doing the things he does, and she's really compromised. And then for her ex-boyfriend to protect her and protect the community is freezing them without her knowing. I mean, it's like it's terrible, and it doesn't come full circle in a nice way. There's no way that this is going to resolve in a pleasant way. It's kind of chaotic.
Yeah. So, what are the brains made out of that you eat, and how do you psych yourself up to eat them?
Gelatin and spit bucket mainly, but I also I take, in fact there's a little like train spotting moment now. If you guys try to watch, if I take a bite of something with brains on it and I chew and I swallow in the tape and keep talking, then I've definitely had it. I try to do that as little as possible. I try to take like giant bites and then they'll cut away and I spit, or take it like the tiniest bite of a piece of pizza. I'm like, yum. So yeah, look out for that. You'll notice there are some cuts.
Thanks, guys.